Let me get one thing straight with you guys. I will not be here in 2 days. I need to get my story out and hopefully help whoever I can avoid this creature somehow. I can only post once every 24 hours. That gives me a total of 48 hours of dealing with it. She's waiting, and I am not going to stay in this hellhole till I starve or lose my sanity. Let's start at the beginning, yeah? My mom rented a house that my stepdad, she, and I all lived in. I had lived upstairs alone. Well, they lived in the master downstairs. I was fine with this. I had gotten used to the creaks in the floor and the groans in the night. I'm still surprised I felt safe, though, considering how skittish I was. One day, I caught wind of the news that my mother had decided to buy a house right down the street from my uncle. Being 13 and always looking over my shoulder, this bothered me. But nonetheless, I had went along with it. I was a pretty laid-back kid. Didn't argue much, and my mother's word was law. We moved in shortly after I turned 14. This house was much smaller, and my furniture didn't quite fit in my room. This I was fine with, because it meant no matter what I wanted to do, I could do it while still on my bed. Remember as a little kid, when you'd turn off your bedroom light and ninja your butt back to bed so monsters didn't grab your leg from underneath? Yeah, not a problem anymore. I could literally lean over on my knees in bed and turn off my light. I was loving it. I had noticed the first strange thing when I secretly got my phone in the middle of the night to text my best friend. For the first time ever, my phone glitched. I turned it on, and it was as if the screen hadn't registered the warmth of my fingers. All of the sudden, my phone showed the white noise screen. I'm not sure what to call it. And it acted as if it was out of power. This was strange, as it was on the charger and half full. Not a problem, right? Just charge it and go to sleep. This is probably the time to mention, I am nyctophobic. To this day, I shake and tense up at the thought of total darkness without my partner to cling on to. Mind you, I'm 19. So I start to panic, frozen in pitch black silence at 11 p.m. I darted up towards the ceiling fan that hung over my head. I even broke the string that turned on the light. Finally, I could see my surroundings. Everything was as it should be, and I fell asleep with the light on. The next night, at the same time, my phone glitched again. No touch recognition. Speckled screen. Dead. I was smart enough to leave the light on. I had just decided to pass out. I remember the dream so clearly. I was in our new house. The lights all off, and I had walked from my room into the living room. Directly across from me, I could faintly see an old rocking chair and a black silk blanket on the floor. There was seemingly something underneath it. An old, familiar female voice coughed violently and the blanket shook. I reached for the light. As my hand shook, slowly getting closer to the switch, the elderly woman told me,
"Keep the light off, and I won't hurt you."
My hand shook, and I winced in fear, my eyes darting from the blanket to the switch. I dove and attempted to turn it on. It's like I couldn't control my body. While on the floor, at the same level as the blanket, I watched in horror. A demonic laugh burst out from the old blanket, and it started to move. Slowly, it rose till about 7 foot tall. Then it stopped. A tall, thin, silk, black-talking blanket managed to force a tear from my eye, and it suddenly flew off to reveal the most terrifying creature I'd ever seen. I won't describe her yet. Give me time, and I'll get the courage. The bitch still haunts my nightmares. I woke. I gasped for air, tears in my eyes, and pressure on my chest. As if that wasn't enough, the room was also pitch black, aside from the light coming from beneath the door. In a panic, I tried to jerk myself up to the ceiling fan again. No such luck. Over and over, I willed myself to get up and get to a damned light source. The more I tried, the tighter my chest got, and the heavier my arms felt. It felt like an hour, but looking back, it was maybe a minute. Till I saw her in the corner of my room, barely lit from the light that poured in under the door. I have never been that kid who screamed for her parents in the middle of the night due to a bad dream. No. I grew up knowing they would be pissed. I would maybe even be punished or pranked. My stepdad had taken advantage of my fear of the dark more than once, locking me in rooms, the garage, closets, as I screamed. He always seemed confused, as if on the tip of his tongue he wanted to say, "Just walk over and turn on the light." I don't think he understood that I couldn't move. I couldn't think through that fear. It just came with the territory, I suppose. I never did. I never screamed like in the movies. But that night, I fucking tried. I opened my mouth, and all that came out was a slight groan. She tilted her head quickly, and I heard a slight crack, as if she had years of arthritis building, and that's the first time she moved. Her mouth opened slowly, revealing her lack of innards, and by the time her jaw was 3 or 4 inches further down than it should have been, she mocked my groan for help, and slowly smiled a smile that literally ended where her ears should have been. I watched in horror and attempted one last movement for the light, and to my surprise, within a second, my hand was on the bit of string, and she was gone with the darkness. I didn't sleep that night, and the next morning I told my mother. Of course, she didn't believe me. Who would, right? The rest of the week I slept with the light on. Every night I took a sleeping pill and got some medically forced shut-eye. Most nights, I fell asleep while making eye contact with the single white eye that had stared intently from my closet. I don't mean a full ghostly white eye. I mean a pupil, white iris, and black ring around it. I can still remember her excited hiccups and giggles as she stalked her prey. Now, the question arises, why not just shut it? Yeah, I tried. The thing about sliding closet doors is, once the wheel is broken, fixing it is damn near impossible for a 14-year-old kid. When I came back from my dad's that weekend, all of a sudden, I felt no presence of the woman. At night, I no longer watched her watching me. I asked my mom about it, and she said she didn't understand. But when I asked my stepdad, he had told me the truth. Mostly because he didn't believe a damn thing about it. Apparently, we'll call her spiritually inclined aunt, had called my mom to make sure everything was all right. She had felt a disturbance of sorts. Here's the thing with my auntie. You know how I believed my mother's word was law? Well, my aunt's word was Mother's Bible. She had paid a visit after her and my mother witnessed something strange on our house cameras. At last, I was free of this hell. Then, last week, 6 years later, I found the woman watching me shower